cute little changes in my channel with the intro, and like if you missed it, it's like the outro at the end. I wanted to make it more personalized to me and my account. And in case you're wondering, yes, I do both. I just colored a sketch because sometimes I just don't want to do line art, and if you are also an artist or an illustrator, then you will understand the ways of line art and how you just try to avoid it the best way you can. And also, if you hear a little whirring in the background, that's my fan. It really is hot, even though I'm wearing a cute long sleeve. I just want to be cute. So without further ado, may wrap up. We can just go ahead and get started. So the first book I read is Butcher and Blackbird, which is the first book in the trilogy of like Ruinous Love by Bryn Weaver, and I gave it like a solid 4 stars because I read this in tandem with I borrowed it from Libby, and I was also listening it to the audio, and the audio was great. Like I don't know like how to describe it. I'm pretty sure if you know of this book or if you've read it or aware of it, you're wondering like, Angel, it's not real cutesy cozy live life in love of you, and I understand, right? But I want something unserious, and this book kind of was, but in kind of like the best way. So it's honestly, to put it simply, it's about 2 serial killers, but they kill other serial killers. Like if they're killing women and children, they're like basically vigilantes, so they're not like out here just killing innocents like the people that they're killing innocents, but they're killing these bad guys who are these mass murderers, and the police can't figure them out, but they're finding them and killing them, all this other stuff. And of course they fall in love with each other along the way, to where they start doing this competition to see who could, I guess, find and kill the most murderers that like they're finding. And it's interesting. It was really fun. Like if you want to read this, please get the audio and read like in tandem with like immersive reading, because it's really good. And if someone is screaming, they're screaming. If someone is whimpering in pain, they're also doing that. If they're whimpering but not in pain, then it's also doing that in like the background. And it's 2 narrators or actors, I don't know how you would like really call them, but it's really great. It's fun, it's funny, like I don't know, I just really liked it. It was dark. If you're squeamish about like certain things like being read out, and if you could like, granted, if you're reading you can still visualize scenes and places and things, so if that freaks you out, because I want to say the author does go kind of like in depth with how they're offing these people, so just keep in mind if that's not your cup of tea. Surprising that it's mine, but I don't think I'm gonna see myself reading the other 2 in the series. I feel like reading the first one is more than enough for me, and I am just going to leave it at that. Also, apologies if I'm looking from like the camera to like my screen. I'm trying to make sure the lighting doesn't flare up in your face. I probably put the brightness on too high, and I don't want to fix it. Or like I don't know how to fix without starting over, and I don't want to. So yes, so please apologies, or deep apologies for that, and if that bothers you, I don't know, I apologize. I'll try to fix it the next time. So yeah, Butcher and Blackbird, if you want to read this or you decide to read this, I would somehow, some way do it with the audio, because I enjoyed it a lot more with the audio. The next book is Living Legend by Ali Shante. I gave this 3 stars. Now, if you remember me raving about how gorgeous and beautiful and lovely this book looks, and it's that still rings true. Like the sprayed edges, the dust jacket, it's all still gorgeous, and like the foiling and like the title, it's still gorgeous, and I would still rave how gorgeous this looks because it matches my room. It matches me. Like it's super gorgeous. But the writing, like, hold on, I forgot I wrote notes on the pros and cons of this book, and if I saw this book with its original cover at the bookstore, I don't want to sound mean, but it's gonna sound mean, but I'm just trying to put in perspective of, I guess, my vibes. I probably wouldn't really look twice at it. It had an interesting premise, but the execution wasn't what I expected. Like, you see how gorgeous this like special edition is. I would think that the writing is also as gorgeous, but no. Let me see. Okay, so I have like a pros and cons list. I'm trying to make sure that none of these are kind of like, or it's spoiler free, because in case you still want to read this, and maybe my cons are kind of like, oh my god, really bright, please calm down. But maybe like the cons are, maybe my cons are your pros, and like my pros are your cons, and there's 2 pros and 4, 6, 7 cons. So if we're the total opposite, please go ahead and read this. Also, please note that like, even like, or I guess like for anything, no matter how, I guess, low of a review a person like rates a book, but it still sounds interesting to you, please go ahead and read it. Like, there's no harm, no foul. You could easily just DNF it if it's not your vibe, right? Which I will explain in a little bit, or kind of like just now. I feel like I was doing real immersive reading, right? Because I started reading this physically, of course, since I have the book here, and if this was any other cover, I would have stopped at 30%. I would have DNF'd it at 30% and not looked back twice, or even once, where I would not look back. But because of, which is one of the pros, because of its pretty privilege, with how gorgeous this cover looks and how I just like didn't really want to stop reading, because there has to be a reason why it's so pretty. Like, I have a reason why I spent money on a bookmarks for it, you know? So one of the pros was, like I mentioned, pretty privilege. It added to me wanting to continue with this book, because of, and this is the Status Fiction, I think, January book box. I don't think it was February. I want to say January book box, my first Status Fiction book box. And yeah, and if you're wondering if I'm going to read this again, I'm not, but I will be keeping this solely because the cover looks pretty, and that's it. And of course, until I feel like I don't want this taking more space on my shelf, then I will give it away to like one of like the bookstores, or a friend of mine or a family member who wants it. And like another pro is the plot. Even though it was lacking in a lot, there were still parts I wanted to like get into. I still was intrigued enough to figure out, okay, how is this plot point going to end? And I think it's either going to be a duology or a series. I don't care enough about the characters to want to continue. So there's that, and we could just segue into my cons. This is I guess categorized as a romantasy, so you know, or not necessarily because it's a romantasy, this has to happen, but based off of the romantasies books I've read up until this point, there has been some spicy scenes, but I'll get into that. So one major con, which was first in this, was the use of the word. And I'm cringing just thinking about shaping my mouth to say it. Female, when referring to or introducing a woman character. Now, I think the word when describing a woman, it downgrades, because when I flip back to see, okay, if they mentioned this man as a male, then okay, I would understand. It's kind of like an angels and demons type story. And I'm telling you all the pros and cons, I'm telling you what it's about, but hold on, give me a second, I have to get this off my chest. Please bear with me. But it just seemed downgraded, and like I said, when I flipped back to when they mentioned the man character, instead of saying male like I thought it would, because up until that point I haven't seen any guy be referred to as male when they're introduced, but it goes off to say this man with long hair, muscles, tatted, like describing, but then whenever it brings up a woman, it'll say this female with whatever color eyes, whatever color hair, whatever colored skin, and I'm like, what? And it kept doing that. And of course, in my head, as I'm reading it, I would like, because at this point, I'm up to 30%, I was like physically reading it. I would switch it with like woman, lady. I would switch it for like either of those two, because it just grinds my gears, and it's just like, why? Just why? And that just rubbed me the wrong way. Like I can't take this book seriously, and it's just like, what was the purpose? What was the purpose? And it wasn't until like later on when they mentioned introduced another person, they finally said woman, but I could probably tell you that it only happened once in here, where it's like, oh, this woman instead of like the other word. So that already turned me off, and that was like in the beginning part, within the 30%, mind you. And I feel like all of this is within the 30%, but it's just overall. Like, there are so many signs where I'm like, Angel, just stop reading. But I'm like, but it's so pretty. Remember the pros. Pretty privilege was the main one. And then the overuse of cussing. Now, personally, I don't cuss, and I'm probably part of the minority of people who don't cuss. And I know a lot of the books I've read, they're gonna have a cuss word in there too, like a few times, when of course it warrants it, whatever else. Like with the word I just talked about, I will skip it. I will filter with like a censor, or just skip it altogether, because sometimes most cuss words are just filler. So, you know, whatever. But it's overuse to the point where you're taking me out of the story. Like, and it seemed like it's an angels and demons type story. Why are the angels cussing more than the demons, if not like on the same like spectrum of cussing? It was like an overuse of cussing. It's mostly like the F-bomb, and it was just overusing it. And I'm like, okay, it's giving corny, it's giving like, it's not cute, it's giving cringe. So I personally don't like that. Like I said, there's going to be cussing in books. I literally can't help that. But the usage of it repeatedly, like I counted 7 F-bombs on one page, on like just the front of like, so giving like this page right here, there would be 7 F-bombs right on that one page, and it's like, honestly, was that necessary? And I don't think it was. Personally, right? If you don't mind it, then by all means. But it was just, it took me out, and I wasn't having a great time reading this. And then over-explained feelings and scenes to the point where it got repetitive. And I don't even think I can give you an example, or I can actually. So, and it's not like a spoiler, but there's this moment where one of the characters, it's dual POV, so we have Nick and Danny. Nick is an angel and Danny is the demon. And Nick is talking to like another, if I can say ethereal being, I forget what like they're called in here, but they're not necessarily like enchanters. That's what they're called, enchanters. This one enchanter woman, and this is told in Nick's perspective, and he says that, and her name is like Natalia or something like that. It says that she rolls her eyes, period. She actually rolls her eyes. Now, why is there emphasis on that? Like, did she not roll her eyes the first time? Why was that repeated? Why did you have to, like, usually in books, I haven't seen it before, but usually in books when a character rolls their eyes, then we as the reader know that they rolled their eyes. You didn't have to come in and say she actually did that. And that was throughout the entire book, where it would explain something and we know the context, we know the clues, we know like the reasons why and when and how and all the other stuff. But then the next sentence, it'll explain it verbatim of why this is happening, why so and so is doing this. And it's like we know that because we've been in this story for so long, and we just know that. So why are you repeating it again? And that also took me out of it because I'm like, what? And at that scene where I talk about like the rolling eyes, I rolled my eyes. I'm like, okay. Like, what? So at this point, I found the audio, so I was like able to listen to it like on my way home, and I had it on like over two speaks. I'm like, I want to get this done. Like, I just care about the plot, what's gonna happen, and yeah. And then the characters, Danny and Nick. So, ooh, I got really bright. I'm so sorry if that was up there for so long. But the characters, Danny and Nick. So this is kind of like a spoiler, but it's mostly just about them specifically, not about the plot. But they get together so quick, right? So they get together like within the 30% mark that I've read, if not sooner. Like they're already having a spicy scene. And what bothers me is that, first of all, I don't know these characters. I don't know them well enough to want them to be together, and I don't care about them that they get together. So all of their spy scenes in here, and did I say it? I didn't, but I think there's like 3 or 4 5 spicy scenes in here. I skipped them because I don't care about the characters enough, and I feel like they got together too soon. And I'm talking a lot about this book. It's already been 20 minutes. I'm around like the book 2 of my roundup, but it happened so quick, and I'm like, I don't know these people. I don't know them, so why do I care that they're kissing? And then what? Did I say this? Okay, so this kind of just ties into them getting together, but like on first meeting within their chapters, they're already lusting after each other, and I felt like once they got together physically, now they're trying to learn about each other, but even then, they're still thinking about the time they spent together in the sheets. They're still thinking about the way he sounds or the way she sounds when X, Y, and Z happened. And I'm like, I don't care. I really don't. Like, I really don't care. Like, why on earth did y'all get together so fast? And I just didn't care. I didn't care. And then I mentioned that the formatting of the book, the physical and on Kindle, because I found this on Libby. Or no, Kindle Limited, I think. It was Kindle Limited. I was able to like read it because I got it super soon. Like I didn't have to wait for it. It was weird, and I can't explain it because I don't remember what page it was on, but it would be like you're starting a paragraph, and then mid-paragraph it seemed like the editor or whoever hit enter and just kept writing without realizing that they started a new paragraph. And I can't fathom why that was missed. Like, that's a big edit thing. Like, and me as like like a writer and stuff like that, that bothered me because that was a big jump, and it happened early on because I read it like physically when I saw it. It's physically in here, and I'm like, what happened in this area? And just like some other formatting issues that I personally didn't like, that I feel like could have been taken care of if this, I guess, was edited and caught some of these things. And that also just snatched me out of the story as well. And then the last thing, I know, the last thing, that it was fast paced, right? And there were moments like, this book is too chunky for nothing to happen, right? It was fast paced, but also there were parts where nothing was happening, and I'm like, okay, can we speed this up? Can we figure out what's going on? Like, can we go somewhere? Like, it was just a lot of standstill, and I don't even think it was even world building either. It was just a whole bunch of standstill, and it just wasn't great. Can I turn this down? Ooh, so it did. Nice. So it was just, everything happened fast, but also nothing happened at all, if that makes sense. Those are my cons. What's it really about, you say? It's literally about an angel named Nick and a demon named Danny pairing up to try to figure out why, like, I guess some portal or gate or something is open. Like, who opened it? Because no one really has access to these gates except for certain, like, hierarchy of angels and I guess certain hierarchy of, like, demons and stuff like that, right? So why is this gate or portal open, right? So that's basically it. And then we're also figuring out, like, why is there, because everyone used to live, if I can say, in harmony, but they still, the angels, you know, kind of knew their place, and the enchanters knew their place, and the demons knew their place. They still lived, if I can say, within harmony. Like, they didn't really cross borders to bother anyone. And the reason why, like, a war happened and all that other stuff was, honestly, I didn't like it. I don't want to be mean, I really don't, but I personally didn't like it. It wasn't the smartest thing, and yes, people go to war for, like, the dumbest reasons, but with this book being this thick, I wouldn't have thought that would be a reason. So, all that to say, I gave this 3 stars. I personally don't recommend it, but if you still want to just see what it is and check it out. I don't know if Status Fiction has more leftover limited edition copies. You can check their website, which, if I remember, I'll try to leave it down below, but this wasn't it for me, which is upsetting because if you've seen that video, how I raved how much or how gorgeous this book was or looked, and I was hoping that it lived up to the edition, but to me personally it didn't. I don't know if this is, like, her first story. I want to say it is, so maybe the author Shantae, I want to say Shantae, but I don't want to, like, assume. Hopefully, or, like, she probably get more practice with, like, the writing, but this is, I don't know, first impressions are hard like, to come by, and I'm not gonna read the second one, and I don't know how long this series is going to be, so I probably won't I'm not gonna finish this series. So if she starts another one, I'll probably try her out again just to see, but it was disappointing, to say the least, unfortunately. I read I'll Be Yours by Nina Hine. This was like a short read. I needed something cutesy and short. I gave it 3.25 stars. It was okay. I enjoyed it more than Living Legend. As you can see, I gave it an extra 0.25 rating. But it's also a novella. It's 64 pages. And in case you don't know, it's hard for me to rate novellas higher than like a 3 category because they're so short and you're getting like the bare minimum of these like characters. So it's about this lawyer who gets on a plane and her, I guess, roommate is this guy who's like a chef, like a really good chef. Like he cooks for well-known celebrities. Of course, can't tell you because NDA and stuff like that, but that's what he does, and he enjoys it and stuff. So they get on a plane, and throughout the plane ride, they're kind of like just vibing and talking and whatever else. And I thought that this whole book was going to be them on a plane, but it's only for like the first like 10% that they're on a plane, and then after it's kind of like, you know, them trying to get together and see what's happening and stuff like that. It was cute. It was nice. I'm sorry for making the face. I'm trying to like think of like what else I can say, but it was something like a little, I guess, a palate cleanser for the disappointment of what I've read before. But it was okay. Like it was okay. So there you go. Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. And I gave that 4.25 stars. I enjoyed it. Like a lot more, right, than the other 2 books. And if you remember me talking about Bride, I read that sometime last year by her, and I didn't really like it. I think I gave that a solid 3 because it was just too sciencey for me, even though I'm used to read like fantasy, paranormal, supernatural stuff, right? I see paranormal, supernatural, 2 different things. And I didn't really like that approach personally. So I wasn't sure what to try again, but I've had this book in I had it in my Libby for like so long because I kept pushing it back. Like, deliver later. Like, I will read this. I'm not in the mind space or head space, but I just read like 2 like fantasy heavy, and I guess I was like still reeling from reading Living Legend because it only took me a day to read I'll Be Yours because it's a short story. So I was okay, let me finally read that, right? So I read it, and I also listened to the audio on Spotify because they have like audiobooks and stuff now. Though it says they only give you 15 hours per month, even if you are the primary like premium holder, you still only get 15 hours per month, which is crazy, but to the point, right? I enjoyed it, though I enjoyed it mostly for Eli because he yearned and wanted and sent like no other. And reading, like listening to his voice in here, he was just so funny because he would explain how bad he wants our main woman character Rue, and his thoughts would be so primitive and so like it was like he'd just be so primitive that he will step back and be like, whoa, calm down, take a nap, go drink some tea, go grab a drink, do something. Like, why are you acting like this for this woman? Like, you've been with other women before. Why is she the difference? Like, why is she the one to make you feel like you want to bang on your chest and like claim her, like whatever. I was like, why is she making you feel these things? So he couldn't like understand why, but he also wasn't really like running from it. And also he was on the fence of like, I'm gonna let her know I care about her, but if she doesn't want me, then I'm gonna back up. So like it was all like it's no matter how he felt, she still had like she still had the ball in her court. It was still like her decision. After like thinking about it and watching Kalia D like talk about it, she rated it lower than I did. I think she gave it like a 3 star or something like that. But I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I feel like that's also in part with like the audio. But thinking about it now, Rue was also kind of boring. Like if I really think about it, it seemed like what she did, she never really got excited really for things. I don't know. She just seemed kind of like boring compared to Eli. He seemed more like animated and wanting to like do things. But yeah, it was like I still enjoyed it, right? I still enjoyed it. I didn't even tell you about what it was about. I'm about to like move on with like the next book, but it's about Rue, and she works for this like this vegetable saving company. How I'm understanding it, how to like a way to have vegetables and fruit like last longer instead of putting them in like plastic containers and stuff like that. But if you just make them have a longer shelf life or just longer in general, then people won't have to like, I guess, go out to sort of buy as much and whatever else, or can have stuff stored in like their fridge for at least some extra time. And well, that was a personal project, but it's something with like within like the food industry, but like science, right? Make it science. And she works for like this woman, and she looks up to her, kind of consider her as like a friend and stuff like that. And in comes Eli, and him and his group of friends and buddies and stuff are coming in to try to like, they say merge, but in a sense of like, we're gonna take over this company, right? And so like, she kind of like hates this guy, but it's also the same guy she kind of not necessarily had like a one night stand with like the night prior, like the weekend prior, because something happened between them. But now she doesn't like him, right? And she doesn't want to like him, but she can't deny that he is attractive. But she doesn't want to cross paths, because then she'll feel like she's like betraying like her closest friend and stuff like that. Like secrets come out and whatever else. I enjoyed it. I don't know like what else to say. It was still pretty like sciencey, but once I started being science about it, I kind of shut my brain off because I'm not gonna like understand it. And didn't really necessarily have anything to do with the plot. It's kind of like, I don't even want to say enemies to lovers, because it was really one-sided, and kind of like a dislike on her part to lovers, maybe like a friendship, I want to say forced proximity, workplace, because they now work together and stuff like that. But yes, Eli, the main core memory that I get that Eli was just down bad for her, and good for her, right? And we all need an Eli in our lives. But yeah, I liked it. It was fun. I read Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst, and I gave this 4.5 stars. If you also follow my gaming content on here, then you will understand where we're about to go with this. But if you enjoy playing Fields of Mystria, because it's a magical farming simulation game, super cute, super fun, I'll sit here and talk y'all's ear off about that game, but we're talking about books right now, so that's what I'm going to share with you. But this is like that, but in book form, and it's super fun. It's super cozy. It's a cozy fantasy romance about this librarian. I forget her name right now, but this librarian, and she is running away from her city capital, whatever you want to call it, because it's being taken over by the revolution, by the rebels. Like, they're burning down the city that she's in. So she has to basically get all the books that she can, because she's like protect the knowledge. So she's getting all the books that she can and coasting with her flower companion named what's his name? Kaz with the C. and he's like a spider lily plant or something like that. And they're sailing off away from the rebellion to her hometown where she grew up in her home island. She's trying to lay low, and she's trying to just get past that traumatic event that just happened to her, and doesn't want to think about like what's left of the city that like she came from. And she notices that the hometown or the home island that she grew up in is missing jam. Like jam as like raspberry jam, blueberry, whatever fruit jam, it's missing that. And she thinks that could probably help with help put like pep into the town and into like the island, to the village. But of course the way she does it is illegal, because magic or the use of spells is illegal. So there's that. Hopefully I explained that correctly or to the best of my ability. But it's super fun, it's super cute, it's super cozy. Literally, if Fields of Mystery was a book, it would be The Spell Shop. And I think the second book in this, I want to say interconnected series, maybe, but of course with all interconnected series, you just get more information if you read them together. But the next one is called The Enchanted Greenhouse, and it comes out, if not later, like this summer, like later this year, and I will also be reading that because it's just a fun little cozy time. Literally, I'm gonna keep saying it, Fields of Mystery as a book. And if you watch my gaming stuff, then you would know I love Fields of Mystery down, like so much. And this is what this was, and it was really good. And then this book came out May 20th, I think, in the US. And May 22nd in the UK. Don't quote me on that, I'm not sure, but Ride With Me by Simone Sultani, and I gave this 4.75 stars. This is the second book in the like F1 racing series, because the first one was Cross the Line, and I read that sometime last year, I think back in November. I think I gave that a solid 4 stars, but I enjoyed this a lot more. Thomas, this man right here, is down bad, and I adored it, because when you meet him in Cross the Line, he seemed real standoffish and real like don't talk to him energy, but in here it's not him really, and it's just fun to see him like in a different light, seeing him like falling in love with like this gorgeous black girl. And I like how her connection was also from like the first book, so I don't want to spoil it really, but marriage of convenience, fake dating, fake marriage, I want to say forced proximity, but not really like to say, but it was really good, it was really fun. Yeah, so like Stella Baldwin and Thomas Maxwell Brown, they get married in Vegas, much to their dismay, because they don't remember it. And it's not because they, you know, had a spicy night the night before, because they did not, which I was happy of, because it wasn't like an instant like spice scene. But the not the intention, but like the lust was there, but they didn't act upon it until like way later in the story. And it was just like the build up, which I really liked and had fun with, and like the little banter was super fun. I enjoyed it. This was like a fun book, and I can't wait to read another one. I think she's currently writing the third one in the series, so I would be super excited to see like how, like what the next set of characters are going to be and stuff like that, because I have no hints. I don't know who else. It was just like a different person, but I'm excited to see what else Simone Sultani has in store. And this is like really good, really good. Hopefully I like told you what it was about for like the most part, because this is getting so long, and most of it was me ranting about the book that shall not be named. But ride with me. Really good, really fun. I recommend. We all love seeing Black women get loved on. I'm here for it. Yeah, I am here for it. The last book I read is Sweetheart by Teen Kingfisher. And I will say this. I gave this a solid 4 stars. I enjoyed it. It's like the last book I read. I finished this the day I'm recording it. I finished it yesterday, the 29th. And this was really, really good. Or like I enjoyed it. It's a quirky, fun little, another cozy fantasy romance story. Now this is giving, like I said, if you play games and if you play Baldur's Gate. When I say Baldur's Gate, I'm saying Baldur's Gate 3, but for the most part, right? So this is kind of like Baldur's Gate, but it's cozy, right? There's a lot more killing in here than it is in the Skull Shop, and we all know, or at least if you play games, right, then you would know there's a lot more killing in Baldur's Gate than there is in Fields of Mystery, right? But this is still a cozy, like, fantasy romance, and if you're like, but Angel, killing isn't cozy, they made it cozy in here. And I saw this when I was watching Alexa Ray, and she was talking about that she saw that like Barnes and Noble one day, and she just had it picked up because the cover was gorgeous, and she talked about it, and I'm like, ooh, that is gorgeous. Let me see. And I will read to you the back of this and kind of like what got me. Starkist knew that the kiss was a mistake the moment he did it. He kept doing it anyway, at first because stopping a kiss so quickly offended his sense of craftsmanship, and then because it felt too good to stop. I was like, oh, wow, say less. So this is about a woman named Hala, and she inherited her uncle's inheritance, like all his money and wealth and home, much to her family of marriage dismay, because her husband has passed on, and I guess like passed on like some months time, like I guess years back at this point. And since then she's been essentially living with her uncle-in-law and been taking care of him when he got sickly, and he left everything to her when he passed, much to her aunt-in-law and cousin-in-law's dismay, to the point where they were gonna lock her up and have her cousin-in-law marry her to keep it in the family, right? And she's like, no, because I would rather, because in her will, if anything happens to her, everything goes to her nieces in like whatever town over. And so she was like, I will rather off myself than marry my cousin-in-law because he has clammy hands, and I don't like that. And that was like her main thing. Of course there's other reasons why she doesn't want to marry her cousin-in-law, but the main one is he has clammy hands, and she doesn't like that. So she sees a sword on like above like the headboard, and she's like, I'm gonna do it. Like, how does one hurt themselves with the sword? Do they just fall on it? Do they just, cut? Like, how does one do that? So as she's thinking about it, she unsheaths the sword, and once she does that, a man pops out, a warrior, with Abby, right? And he is a man of the sword. He was cursed to be in the sword for, forever time, eternally, right? And he is, or whoever wields the sword, he has to protect them. And so when she was asking, well, you have a sword, can you hurt me? Can you just do it real quick? He's like, I literally can't. Like, I cannot hold or hurt the one who wields the sword, right? And so she's like, well, well then, how am I gonna get out of here? So she tells him her situation. He's like, we're gonna get you out of here, right? And story ensues. That's how it starts. I can say it started. I like when books start off right from what you know from the back of from the description, because let's just get into it. Like, this is why I'm reading it, because I'm interested. And so yeah, it's really fun. It's really quirky. And of course, in like the early little bits, they kind of saw each other being attractive, but of course it was weird to act on it when he's the protector of her and she was like, I don't know if he's just doing this because he has to protect me and all this. So it's all these little things. And also they're like an older generation. She's like 35, 34, and he's like, well, he's been in the sword for like a long time since then. So like centuries. He's been in the sword for centuries. I won't say accurately when or how long, but centuries. So technically he's like super old. But looks, he is like late 40s, early 50s of that era, of that range, I want to say, and like his like mid to late 40s. So they're like a slightly older like generation, which is like pretty interesting, even though some of like their dialogue didn't really seem like they were older, but it also could just be because it's like a whole different time period, like in like the 1500s magical time period. So literally think of Baldur's Gate, whatever time period Baldur's Gate is in, think of that, but cozy. That's it. I've talked y'all's ear off for so long. How long is this? It's almost an hour long, and hopefully I can cut this video down into like 40-something minutes or less. Unless you don't mind me talking y'all's ear off. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'd like to see more cute and cozy content like this, whether it's books or games. And thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch, listen if you're just listening, and just being here with me. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed, and I also hope I see you in the next video. Bye.